Is there anything else?
I mean, I had never really heard of her before, but.
Anymore.
All right, we will call this meeting of the Special Human Rights Commission meeting to order. It is Wednesday, August 3rd at 5:15 p.m. The first order of business, our chair resigned. Last month, we had discussed the process, and I think we were a bit confused. So after clarifying, as the vice chair, I need to either accept or decline the chair position for the remainder of the 2022 year. I will accept that for the remainder of the year. So that means at this point, we need to elect a vice chair. Do we have any nominations or discussion surrounding that?
I would volunteer. I don't think I can nominate myself, but I'll volunteer.
Yeah, I will motion to nominate Wendy as the new vice chair.
I will second that.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations or discussion? All right, then we will take a vote. All those in favor of Wendy accepting the vice chair position, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Wendy. All right, moving on to number 3. We need to approve our minutes from the June meeting. Our July meeting was canceled, which is why we are having this special session right now. The minutes are in front of you there. Do we have any questions or discussion about those minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to our budget report. If you want to pull that up. Oh, mine won't open. Are you guys having trouble getting yours open?
You want to see?
Apparently mine doesn't work. So it looks like we still have 61% of our budget left, although I do believe that a good amount of that is earmarked for the Diversity Council.
Right.
So do we have any questions about the budget report or any discussion about that?
No questions. I think it's not quite up to date because they just reimbursed me for the parade candy. It was like $119, and that doesn't look like it's on here, but that's not that much.
Okay. Do we need a motion to approve that?
No, I don't think
I
so
don't-
because there's no action or no.
All right. Then moving on to the events committee report. Does someone that was at the parade want to provide a summary from the event?
Yeah, I can. It went well. I think we were more organized than the year before, and I think we have some items for next year just to be a little bit more organized. We definitely need more people. So
Yeah.
I think next year we just need to think about making sure that we have people. It gets to be a lot with the candy and the signs. We used all our signs. We handed out all the signs, which was great. What else did we talk? Yeah, I mean, it went really well. I just think the main things are just being organized and prepared, making sure we have enough people, and then making sure we have enough signs.
And we had more signs than stands.
Yes.
So we're missing stands somewhere, and I think people are going to be looking for them at the county fair because that's what we told them to do.
Yeah.
So we're either going to have to purchase more or find where, I don't know why we'd have more of one than the
Yeah.
other,
That's odd.
And
but quite a few,
Yeah, we had a lot more
yeah.
signs than stands.
Under the events committee report, we do need to talk about ordering those materials. So I did talk to Printware about ordering. We have paused at this point because we need to get the new logo approved, because otherwise we'd have to go with the old logo. So after today's meeting, I will be in contact with them. They have all the information. We're just kind of waiting on the go-ahead of what we decide for the new logo. Anything else about the parade?
I don't have anything else.
No, more people.
More, yeah. Yep.
More people, and I also think it's worth saying that we did have I thought, more of a positive response than what
Yes.
I was anticipating.
Absolutely.
I only heard a couple people and, maybe say something negative, and even that was pretty mild, but I think we had way more requests for signs than we had compared to other years. It was a
Agreed.
much more of a
And we
response for the
had a
signs.
couple of cheers.
That
Yeah.
stinks we ran out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be able to get those in before.
And
the fair.
when we say we ran out, like, we had a lot, too. I mean,
And we ran out, we had a decent amount left of parade left when we did run out.
Right.
And there were a lot, I think it's so hard to hear everybody who wants signs. I'm sure there are people that we missed, like, as we were going through.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know what I
It's-
mean?
it's
So,
But
kind
we
of-
also had
it's
to
kind
run
of a
to get-
madhouse.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I think the requests for signs were much higher this year.
very much so.
Hopefully we'll get them before the fair. But, okay, so moving on to National Night Out, does someone that was there want to share?
It was our booth was a little bit quiet, a little bit drippy.
It did rain.
We had a little rain, but really there was a pretty good crowd, I think, for considering there's rain. But I think we need to up our something to make us more noticeable, or
Almost our kid game is kind of what we had talked about a little bit when we were
yeah,
there.
we just need to, I don't know, a few balloons or
Did you use the kid game?
No, I'm saying we need to do something
Oh,
more
'cause
to
we have
draw
a kid
in-
game.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we have.
Where is it?
I don't know. We haven't done it in a couple years.
I should talk to Lisa about
Yeah, they're they're blocks of wood that are different colors, and they have questions regarding or with have to do with human rights. And we had what we would do is get different colored Tootsie Rolls, and then they would take a Tootsie Roll, and whatever color Tootsie Roll they had, that was the block that they
Where
would
is this game?
pick. Or you can do it back and forth. They can do the question first and then pick. But we did that at the county fair too.
Maybe we'll
And
need to
I have no
find
idea
that.
where they are, but it wasn't that, I could make up other ones too. We also had color sheets, and that was good because kids would come and color, and then their caregivers would be there, and you could have, that spurred a lot of conversations because the kids were kind of planted there. So,
What would we need to do to get the coloring sheets again? Was that something you did
I
on
just
your
did
own?
it, yeah, so
or
I can make
is
more
that
color
something-
sheets.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
I think the materials that we hand out in general, though, need to be updated or improved. I don't know that we really have much to hand out to adults. I think it's great to get the youth engaged in what we're doing. I think we really need to scrap that citizenry test that didn't fit. We have.
either that or update it and have an
No,
answer
I really
key.
don't think it fits. I mean, I guess my opinion is the human rights have nothing to do about whether you're a citizen of the United States or not. Regardless, it's about international human rights. So I don't think that really has a place. I think that just limits people from engaging with us. I think what we're trying to do is outreach, not see if you can pass a test, to see if you can. Even most of us couldn't answer the questions on the simple test or all of them correctly.
I think that was
or-
the
was
intent
the point.
originally.
Perhaps it might be, but
I
I
get what
just
you're
don't think that's, in my opinion, it doesn't have a place. But if somebody disagrees, speak now. I would like to, I don't know if this should be introduced now or below for the education committee, but just in general with materials, I would like to propose that this 10 reasons why human rights are important that I did bring there become a part of our regular handout. And this isn't a beautiful copy of it because I was running out of ink, but we could make it look a lot better. And I did put it on one sheet, so you could just flip it over and have the 10 reasons. But if we could pass that around, and I don't know if new educational materials should be approved by the education committee, but if they need to be, that's fine. But I would propose that this be one of the handouts that just kind of summarizes why we're there and why it's important. So if you want to take a look at that, and then,
So just to get everyone on the same page, the things that we have that we're trying to get so far from Printware.
right,
We have new, updated bookmarks. There are more stickers, I believe. and then a brochure, a new brochure that was put together.
Sure.
So that's what we have so far. So if that's something we'd like to add, I think we'd probably need a motion to add that to the order, but we could
Sure.
include that since we haven't actually placed the order.
So you said bookmarks, stickers,
Bookmarks,
and a little
and signs, I'm
brochure.
sorry.
And
And
signs.
signs.
Mark stickers,
That's what is currently,
Okay.
ready to go, but not ordered yet.
yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if we would need a motion because I don't know if we specified what we needed for handouts.
Well,
but-
and that's what I'm kind of wondering just in general, because coming up for the Brown County Fair, there are some items that I would like to propose that I would donate to bring, that could be little handouts and enticements for people to stop at our booth. But I don't know if this requires approval of the commission or not. And I don't want to be offending anybody or overstepping my boundaries.
If I might say something on that, is there any way that we'd be able to blow that up into like a poster
Oh,
size
yeah, like a,
I did.
for our booth at the fair?
like a background kind
Right.
of. Yeah.
So when people are walking by, they can, see and read about who we are and what we're trying to do.
I'm sure it's possible. I guess it's just whether or not you feel the content is appropriate. And if we were to do that, that would be great, because then if we had that as a backdrop, we could then reuse it and have it as a permanent part of our boothage for whatever event that we are attending, if it's acceptable.
If that is something that we would like to do, Aaron, is that something you'd be able to kind of format into a signage?
I know nothing about making signs, but I'm
I wonder
sure I
if
can make it into a
printware would
format
be
where it
able to
would.
do it.
Well, I don't know if all that could actually fit on there. I mean, maybe if we
Parts even?
edit it.
You could do
Yeah.
like just the number
The bullet
one, number
points.
two, number,
Yeah.
the bullet points,
I
and then
think
they
that would
could
be
have
very
the handout
possible.
with the
and-
more details.
And I think, I don't know about Sid sign. I've never ordered anything like that here, but it
Well,
can
I
be that
even know
difficult
Riverbend can print stuff pretty, I'm sure they could print a typical poster size thing.
I think I'd like to try to ask Printware first to see if we can stay within one company.
Right, I have
But
no
then
problem
if
with that.
that doesn't work, then maybe going to Riverbend or is
Sure.
Kemsky's, is that a place
They're-
too?
Aren't they the same now?
Yeah,
I think
it's
they've merged.
same now.
So, I'm not totally sure, but I feel like we should probably have a motion to include the handout and a poster type. Do we have any discussion surrounding that, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll motion to add this handout to our regular order for handouts and then to make a sign.
I will second that. Yeah, because I like this. A lot of people ask, well, what are human rights?
Right.
And I mean, I know, but to have kind of a standardized answer that's consistent across all of us and,
And do you have the source listed on there by any chance?
I do not.
Could we get that possibly? Because that might be, that'd be something helpful to have maybe, just to give it a little more.
I think we could also consider doing 2 signs too, because I think if you get a big, well, if you have a sign with a lot of words on it, people don't read it all, but if you had 2 where they're bigger, and at the fair, for example, when you have that backdrop, we'd have plenty of room to hang 2, especially if they're not gonna be,
Maybe I'll talk to them and kind of see, because that's their thing, and see what they recommend, or if they can pull kind of the main message out of it. So we do have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion surrounding that?
I would agree that it would be good to put the source on. That's a good point, Casey.
yeah.
And I just like to add, the reason why I said the poster, came up with the poster idea is because there's going to be people out there that aren't going to be willing to engage us at a table. So having it out there for them to read still helps.
Absolutely.
So,
To engage if they don't want to.
right.
they still learn.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? All right, we will vote. All those in favor of adding the handout and a poster to our order, either through Printware or, what's the other place, I'm sorry? Kemsky's Riverbend. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awesome. All right, we've kind of put the events committee all together here.
Except for the volunteer schedule for the fair.
Yes. Who, do we remember who, oh,
I made
Someone's all
a
over it.
blank schedule in mostly 2-hour time slots. I did, some of the days were an odd number of hours. So I did a couple hour-and-a-half time slots around supper time.
so maybe after the meeting, we could all try to fill in
Yeah.
our availability.
And what works well too is if you have that just as a working document, like a Google Doc, and then we all have access to it where you can, if you need to get a hold of someone to see who's working with you and, it's where it's more of a fluid document,
I did not do it on Google Docs, but I can.
unless you guys don't think, if we're all here, maybe it's not necessary, but it is something where,
We're missing Katie.
yeah.
It is nice too, because then you'd be like, oh, I can do, you know what I mean? If
Yeah,
you check
or-
your schedule.
Right,
Is our intent to staff it the whole time, though? Or are there going to be hours where it doesn't even make sense? I know that Janelle and I kind of discussed that a bit just when we were sitting at National Night Out. Are there going to be times when it won't make a whole lot of sense to have somebody sitting there, I guess, And I mean, I have fairly good availability, but myself, I might do 2 slots, and that's going to be about the extent of it, so.
I know
you
from
know.
previous events, during, like the demolition derby, there's really nobody going through that center.
Okay.
Just because everybody who's at the fair,
Right.
for the
Is at
most
the
part,
demo
is
derby.
at the demo derby.
Well, even anytime really after a certain time, like maybe supper time-ish, there really isn't a whole lot of
Late-
traffic.
Yeah, the later evening. I did that a couple times last year, and it was pretty quiet. Like the till 10.
And can someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it does not need to be staffed the whole time, but ideally we'd have people there as much as
Right.
possible. Is that accurate?
Like I looked on the fair website today, and I mean, they would like you to have your booth open the whole time. But yeah, I think we could leave handouts. If people want to take a whole bunch of handouts, well, more power to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I put the full amount of hours that the Civic Center is open, but I think as we start signing up, we can kind of go, well, maybe we
Look
don't
at
need to
what's going
do
on
8
during
to
that
10, or,
Yeah.
or like, that's good to know about the demo derby. Because I don't,
Thank you for putting that together. That's
oh,
awesome.
well, that was super easy. I debate about, should I do it on Google Docs, not on Google Docs? Does everybody have Google Docs?
I do think that would maybe be a good idea to put it online.
Yeah,
Do
I
other
think it's
people-
helpful.
It's worked well in the
Yes.
past.
And I
it's
can
worked
also
well.
remember when I signed up.
Yes, there's that.
Yes, because I will forget.
Are we going to try to have 2 people? And I know sometimes that's not possible, but I know,
I think that's been in the past, and you can bring spouses or significant others.
Yes.
We've had past, we could reach out to like Larry, some Alma former members can also help with that if they'd like to.
Yeah.
So we
know,
could
like,
definitely reach
yeah.
out to get more people too.
Larry brought his wife last year, and I brought my mom, if you have
Yeah.
people willing to sit with you.
But trying to have 2 people
Yeah.
just is nice. It's less boring too if no one's coming up to you. So. All right, anything else about the fair or anything else from the events committee?
are we going to have candy at the fair? Because we did find that we got more traffic when we did.
Yeah, I think we need to up our candy game, though.
Yeah.
Everybody has those Tootsie Rolls, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Nobody wants the Tootsie Rolls?
They work for the parade because it's hot and you're throwing it, but I think for the fair, we need better.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if we, if it's in the budget to buy it. I mean, I'd certainly be willing to donate a couple bags of, like, chocolate.
Then it might be kind of expensive,
Hey, the
truly,
people
because it's-
sitting at the table would like better candy.
I think generally what's happened is someone has volunteered to pick it up and then get reimbursed. So I think it's kind of
What's the budget for candy?
I think it's generally been around 100 roughly.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it was when I got stuff for last year.
Although I will say that the flavored Tootsie Rolls didn't seem to deter people. I mean,
No.
we gave them all away.
Just
But
we
I think
noticed
just
at
to
National
have
Night
kind
Out.
of like a
Oh, okay.
mixture, have a
Oh, sure.
mixture.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I realized there's you can buy some wrapped bulk candy at Runnings that I found. I was in there one day, I went,
I think I
maybe
hear
that's-
Janelle volunteering to get
yeah,
candy for
I'll
the
get
fair.
candy. I'll get candy. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Awesome.
get some variety. We can kind of mix it up.
Perfect.
And then just save your receipts and submit them to Lisa. Oh, I think we probably need a motion then for that if we're gonna be
Oh,
spending money.
spending money, I
Do we have a
suppose.
motion to,
I move that we allow Janelle to pick up a variety of candy for the Brown County Fair not to exceed the price of $100.
I'll second that motion.
any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Janelle. All right,
No worries.
on to the Education Committee.
Can I just jump in though, because it is at the Brown County Fair that I wanted to maybe donate some,
Oh, sorry, forgot about
not just, not candy, but I would donate a few things, which in the way I do things, I've already ordered them. So if we can't donate them, that's fine. But I didn't know if I'd have enough time to get them. So they're pretty simple, but I proposed that I would donate some things like their inspirational stickers and safe space stickers. And some of them are very just simple. They just say things like always stay kind, teach love, inspire, or just don't give up, that kind of thing. And I also ordered some mini flags, 5x8, some Pride rainbow flags, and the flags that say women's rights are human rights. So I'd like to donate those to the cause, but if in any way they're perhaps too controversial or not acceptable, then I won't bring them. But I think, to the point that it might somehow deter some people or offend some people, but we're here to support protected classes of individuals, and I think we need to make that abundantly clear. And I just think that would go towards that, and that's it. And I'm like I said, I'm willing to donate those materials. So.
Well, to me, they're there for, you're not forcing anyone to take anything like
Right.
that. If someone wants it, here it is. You don't want it, you don't like it, don't take one. I don't have a problem with it.
see any issue with it. I don't know if that would require a motion or not, so we probably should make a motion just in case.
I don't see anything wrong with it. I have a fear that it is going to inflame some in our community.
It will. And I think it's going to bring more, I don't know what the right word is.
And
Like not positive conversation.
Right.
I
Discussion's a
100%
good
support
thing.
it. Discussion's a great thing, but we had snarky people that will come up and say things without having those there. And is it an invitation for that? Like, would it do more good or?
Well, I mean,
Not.
I guess my opinion, well, and I'll state my opinion because, I'm not shy on opinions. I agree. It could stir the pot a little bit, but I think we need to stir the pot, and I think we need to be strong and face some of that critique or criticism or backlash to show that we really are here for a reason, not just, for face value that human rights are important in New Ulm, but that we stand by what we're saying when we're trying to say that we believe in human rights for people of protected classes or people that have been discriminated against historically, particularly in smaller towns. But
I think the fact that there's even a concern of backlash speaks to why those symbols would be necessary. And I think that backlash is going to come. I mean, we get backlash when we write letters to the editor supporting human rights. We get backlash from our meetings. I mean, that is why we're here as a commission.
and the Wendy
provide that
I've
place.
seen in print does not seem to be afraid of backlash.
Oh, no, don't miss it. I'm not afraid of backlash, but I just want people to be aware that when those are there, there's likely
yeah.
going to be more conversation.
I
That's
also,
what I meant by
but
that.
I also think that's why it's probably important to have more than one person there.
Yes.
I know that in the past there has
Just,
been, I don't know what it was. There was something on the table and just rules about we don't engage in arguments. we are
There,
respectful.
yes, there is a little,
There are guidelines for how we will engage with the public. It is
Right.
not a time
And-
for a
and maybe
personal
that is a
conversation with
good thing
someone.
to have posted
So I
right
will
out
make
there.
sure that those are
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
I was
And
gonna say, where are those guidelines?
I will make sure that those are there at the fair. And I mean, we do not engage in, it's not a personal discussion. If you want to have a personal discussion with someone in a non-commissioner role, you go do that outside of the booth time.
and you won't engage
So-
in a confrontation. If people are
Yes.
being confrontational, you're just,
How about political?
We are not a political
That's what I mean,
organization.
you
Yeah.
know, is that going to be listed on there as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will make sure that is on there. So,
When, when you said the term protected classes, maybe that would be a good thing to have on another, if we're talking about
Like
two
what?
signs. What are the protected classes
Well,
for
I mean,
people
that
to,
just-
again,
we could even put-
sometimes people don't really want to engage with real people, but they might be looking at things like,
I liked what you said about that people don't have to engage, but they can still absorb the information.
because I think some people really don't realize that there are classes of people that are protected.
And maybe
And-
that's something as simple as having a copy of the actual Human Rights Act
Right.
available
Right.
for reference.
So they understand that it's not something that we're just making up as we go along.
Right, yeah,
that-
exactly.
Right.
I think that's some good discussion around this. Did we have a motion or no? Was it,
we did not have a
we did
motion
not have a
yet.
motion? Would anyone like to make a motion to accept those donations to have at the fair table?
I will make a motion to accept those donations to have available at the fair table.
And I will second that motion.
Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed,
Thank you.
same sign. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Yes, thank you, Aaron. All right, moving on to our Education Committee report. We had a few logos, and I think, are we down to one? This is the proposed design from our Education Committee.
Correct.
Does anyone have any thoughts or discussion or questions about this?
I really like it. It's vibrant and it really stands out.
And I think it'll show up better. I think the other logo was also really good. It just didn't show up very well on some of the materials.
Yeah, this is
Aaron,
more,
did you want to provide, wasn't there a reason for the symbol choice?
There was. This actual, the hand with bird symbol is not something I just created. I found this symbol and put it together with the different colors and just the City of New Ulm symbol. But the basis for it was a contest, actually back in 2011, a multi-country contest to come up with an international symbol of human rights. And this particular symbol the artist is Serbian, and they chose his design. And it's not like anything to do with, there's no copyright infringement. They encourage you to use this symbol as a universal human rights symbol if you choose to. And I don't really know. Actually, I wasn't familiar with it. So apparently, I don't know if it actually got used all that much, but since it's been from 2011. But I did like the symbol, and of course, the symbol the thing I first chose was like kind of this dove shirt that I'm wearing, which I ordered a copy of because it's more old fashioned and maybe vintage like myself. But then when I saw that, it really just seemed to really pop, and I think the colors pop, and it really does have a message in there as well. And so that's why I asked the opinion of several of you to see which design you preferred, and that was hands down the winner. So or the choice. So if it is approved, either way, I'm fine. We can continue with the old or go with the new. Either way, it doesn't. It doesn't matter to me, but Janelle does have a little bit of a stockpile, not little bit of a pile of shirts that I just ordered because I was curious as to how the different designs might look on a shirt, because sometimes, my intention was actually to bring that shirt.
Oh.
But I forgot.
I didn't think of it.
But it does look nice on just a white shirt or a gray shirt, and so, and I think it looks more up to date, and youthful or whatever, if a logo can look youthful, I don't know, or whatever, but more current, I guess, so.
So proactive, already ordering prototypes. Is there a motion around this logo?
Are we looking at the text below it as well when we're making the motion, or just the?
I believe so. The
picture?
the logo is the entire thing. Is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And the text below is actually taken from material given to me when I started on the commission that says what kind of the reason for us existing, so.
so there should be a comma after July 7th, and then community would need to be capitalized as well.
Yeah, I wondered about that community, because it's more like, promote, encourage, equal, there's all those. I even would capitalize our.
Well, if you,
Those
It
are,
wouldn't- it
those
wouldn't
are
be a-
easy things.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't think you would put a comma after the 7th unless you're just gonna do 7, 1970 though.
I'd
You're
mark
the
it
school
wrong if
teacher,
you
though.
turned it into
But-
me.
And not to be nitpicky, but is there any way to possibly change the font color to purple, like the New Ulm, Minnesota logo?
Yes, yes, the
Oh.
font could be changed to a color.
Are you talking about the top left part up there?
Yes. Yes, just to have a little bit more uniformity. Just because, colors.
No, wait a minute, where are you talking about exactly? The
Oh,
change?
like this kind of font?
Oh,
with this
that's
right here?
actually taken, I don't know if I can change that. That's actually taken from the City of New Ulm website, so I don't know if, I think I,
Is purple, why would we change, is it because of,
Well, the logo, because the logo on there is kind of is that purple?
It's purple.
that is right off the site.
So he's
so-
saying it would just make it more uniform with the.
I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay,
it's
sorry.
LCD is kicking in.
Make the color of the type that bluish purple.
Right.
Oh, you mean just change down
Yeah,
below
right.
to, yes, that
Yeah.
should be fairly, or a close match, so, yes, that should be.
I know a website you can use.
I'm not like, this is just a side thing that I do sometimes for my business, but it's just my own, I have no training in this, so I don't know what I can or cannot do exactly,
Great logo.
but, yeah.
I like it a lot.
Okay, so would we have a motion to accept this logo with the proposed changes?
I make a motion to accept the logo with the proposed changes we just talked about.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, executive committee report. We need to reschedule, if those of you that remember, the Greater Mankato Diversity Council training. We had to cancel when those bad storms were rolling through. So we need to schedule, not only reschedule that one, but then there were 2 other dates. Were those dates already picked or no?
No, they were not.
Okay,
We were
so we
waiting for the
maybe
school
need
calendar
to
to come out.
schedule.
We
all
need to schedule
3.
all 3, and we should do it soon because it's like August.
Yes, and I do believe the school calendar, I've seen one. I don't know if it's official yet to the public.
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it's something as the executive committee, we can get on that and
Yeah, let's do that and look at dates, and then,
contact them. I have
yes.
that guy's contact info,
How
so.
close together do we want to have those? I feel like they should not be like way far apart. I think
We could
people
probably ask them for a recommendation on it.
yeah, and in my head, it seems like maybe monthly. Yeah. Because you don't want them too spread apart
Yeah.
either. The reason we had them so close together last time is we're trying to get them in before the school year ended. And I thought that was too close together, but it was what we had to work with.
We can kind of ask them too what they generally do because they do
Right.
this a lot. So kind of
I
go,
was thinking, 2 weeks to a month, but not really much longer than a month.
it kind of stinks how that one, it would have been nice to have the 2 and 2
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
but
Oh, well.
I'm
is
glad
what
we
it is.
canceled because it was bad that
Weather,
night.
weather.
I just have to, I'm sorry, I keep on saying too much already tonight. Am I the only one that was not impressed by the presentation? I thought it was not polished, and I thought it was sort of amateurish. And I had the feeling almost that almost any, not any one of us perhaps, but I feel like we could have put on a seminar of equal or better quality than that first event went. And, and I can't purport to, no, I don't give public presentations as part of my career. I'm not a school teacher, but I just didn't think it was that useful. And I thought it was a little more or less directed toward like a very more younger crowd, almost like a 4th to 6th grade presentation. I didn't think it was very adult oriented. And I don't think it was very professionally done. And I'm not sure what we said we were going to pay for it, but I wasn't impressed. But that you can just put that in the notes and do with it what you will. But I don't really think if it's the same presenter, I won't be attending. And I won't encourage others to attend either, because I don't think it was good.
That's disappointing to hear. I thought the content was really good. I mean, I think the presenter had a different maybe style than I'm used to, but I thought that there were a lot of good takeaways. I took a couple pages of notes. I don't know at this point. I think we've already signed and I think we will be moving forward with the trainings. I believe we're in an agreement with them.
But we do have a say in, what the topics
content
are,
and
the
stuff.
content, and we can work, they'll work with us too. And we just,
It was
I don't
just
think we knew where
it
to
was very
start.
unfocused, and he seemed very unfamiliar with the material he was presenting. He had no idea about time limitations or what could be covered. There were no handouts. It was all over the place, in my opinion.
My understanding was he's also newer to presenting the
I
information.
believe it was his first time presenting
So
this.
my understanding was that he was newer to presenting the information, so.
And I understood that too,
Yeah.
but when we're trying to encourage people to learn things, then you need to send your best or something better. And when we're paying for something, I still think we could have presented something. We could have presented materials just as effectively or more effectively than was presented. But
I think there was good information, but I feel like it was paced kind of more time spent on some things and other things kind of glossed over. And that could easily be someone who's new at presenting.
I did appreciate how he handled kind of pushback from
Yeah.
some
Hey.
people in the crowd.
And I think he.
Calm, cool, and
yeah.
collected.
And I think he did get kind of bogged down by that,
There was a lot of discussion, but discussion is also
Yes,
good.
absolutely. It just held up the rest of the information.
And maybe that's why there was kind of, it felt like some stuff
We can, though, when we reach out,
kinda
take
was
that
left
feedback
hanging.
and concerns
Sure.
to them. Any other discussion surrounding the diversity trainings?
No, but we should set a time for the executive committee to talk,
Yes.
like tonight, so we can get on that, I
You
think,
guys,
sooner than
is it-
later.
It'd be us three.
Okay,
Should we talk after the meeting and set a time to meet?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Moving on to number 8, Public Relations Committee. You will see on your agenda the letters to the editor since the last meeting. We should maybe at this point discuss too that the journal is kind of under new leadership, or the letters to the editor is being monitored by someone else. So they are now trying to limit that you can only publish one letter per month as an individual, and they are not letting organizations sign their names. So, for example, in our response here, this was supposed to be signed by the executive committee. You will see only Wendy's name appeared on here.
It's because I submitted it, but they are not willing to go and, before they, I think I maybe got contacted by the Journal one time to see if it was really me, and then from then on, they just printed. But he said if they put multiple names on, they would have to contact every person, and they're not willing to invest that time.
And they
So,
won't let us respond as an organization.
yeah,
Oh,
because
so we
they felt
can't
like
just
the.
say signed the Human Rights Commission.
I asked about that, and he said that, and I'm not sure what this means, but he said that that takes away, that they want a community feel for the paper, and when organizations are responding versus individuals, it takes away that feel.
It's just interesting because when the
I don't necessarily
organization
agree
is
with that,
being
but-
added in a letter,
Yeah, I asked about
hard
that. Can
for
we?
us
it-
to
can-
respond as an
we're-
organization.
We can't, yeah. And I don't know if that, I mean, this was just in a phone conversation that I had with the new editor, and maybe he'd be willing to.
it might warrant further
Another
conversation.
conversation, because yeah.
Well, does
it
that
didn't go very
mean
well.
that just an individual could reply each time?
Yeah.
That's it.
But not
But not
as a
as,
commission.
not as the Human Rights
Yeah.
Commission.
We can't sign it, the New Ulm Human Rights Commission. They won't
Or
allow
the
it.
Or we
executive
can't, we
board
can't
would. Or the
say, like,
executive
I can't
committee.
sign my name, comma, Human Rights Commission member, or?
I don't remember
Don't
the
know
reasoning
about
for that, but
that.
I also think you should be able to. I didn't agree, and I don't know that he was necessarily right with that, but again, this was just kind of an informal phone conversation that I had, so maybe.
I wonder
maybe
if we
more of
need
a formal
to
meeting with him to
set up a
straighten that
more
out.
formal meeting, and if that is going to be the case moving forward, maybe rethink our process on responding to those. Because it's definitely
Yeah, and
different when it's limited and when it's not coming from a commission.
right, and it also, I will say, in a timely manner, it's taking a long time to get the letters printed too, so I don't know if then, at
Responses
that
are
point,
delayed.
is it worth doing a response if, this one, I think, I can't remember how long it was before it was printed.
Well, the original
Because I
letter was
responded the
June
same day.
30th, and the response printed July 7th, so it was
Okay.
a week. And I
Okay.
feel like that was a quick response
Yeah.
compared to the previous one. I can't
Right.
remember off the top of my head, but I feel like it was longer.
That, it was, the one before that was
the
longer.
month before.
So I wonder, Public Relations Committee, maybe if we want to set up an actual meeting with the editor, and then depending on how that goes, bring it back to the group next month and discuss if we need to re-strategize how we respond to letters that address us.
So what was the term that he was using for the letters? I'm trying to think now. Organization.
Mhm.
But aren't we like more of a chartered commission?
But I think he means a group,
group.
an individual versus a group. Or an individual versus, what is the right name? Not a group, but a,
More than one person, maybe?
should be a group, I guess, I don't know.
The city council submit a letter. My understanding was it has to be from one person. You know, there was a letter recently that was signed by a lot of people, and I would imagine they wouldn't allow that anymore either.
If the city was to publish something, like the city itself,
I believe that wouldn't be a letter to the editor then, it
The
would
letter to
be,
the editor. I mean, the
But they would-
issue is with the letter to the editor.
so they would have to publish like a news announcement, or I don't know what the correct term would be, but it wouldn't be in that same format. So we still could, as a commission, take out an ad, or
Press release.
we could do things like that. And so that's something, depending on how that discussion goes, that maybe we look at in the future,
And I think it does.
instead of a letter to the editor.
And it does make sense to sit down with him and get more clarification,
Yeah.
because I think he was speaking off the cuff with me as well. Because I had called wondering why it was just my name, because I wasn't told it would only be my name. You know, that's how it came out, and it's like, oh,
I suppose yours happened to be first, and they
I
just,
submitted it. So
you got
they
to be
called to
it.
see if
Submitted it
is
on
that
behalf
me, and I
of-
thought, yeah, that's me. And but when they've done that in the past, it's still included everyone else that was signed on the bottom.
So, Public Relations Committee,
All right, I will do it.
take that up.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to our current human rights issues. This was an addendum to the agenda, so we'll see how good I can figure out my thing here. All right, so if you can get the addendum pulled up, under current human rights issues, and attached, there is a letter from the ACLU of Minnesota to the Becker School Board. So just a little background on this. The Becker School Board is currently considering adopting a policy, Policy 471. They claim their intent is that to ensure fairness and equity, but in fact, the policy seems to limit or entirely eliminate any discussion of topics such as systemic barriers, discrimination, or pretty much any other topic that district leaders would consider controversial. These are topics that are found not only throughout history, but in current human rights discussions as well. The policy also calls for inspections of classrooms weekly and removal of any non-US flags. So for example, at the recent school board meeting, a language teacher spoke and said they couldn't display, under this policy, if it was adopted, they couldn't display flags from the countries that they're teaching about, things like that. It should also be noted that the Minnesota School Board Association does not currently have any guidelines that would direct a district to adopt such policy, and the superintendent of Becker Schools did not recommend adoption of the policy. It was removed from the agenda last minute for the meeting this previous Monday, but they did allow public comment on it. So just more for something for us to be aware of at this time and to monitor as it goes. Is there any questions or thoughts surrounding that?
I think it's pretty concerning that the school board is, I mean, I could see it happening in New Ulm very easily.
I do appreciate right now what our school district, their vision and mission for the coming years of fostering equity and inclusion, and I think we're pretty lucky to have a very supportive board and superintendent that is supportive of human rights.
I would agree. This is scary. I mean, I think it's just scary, and thankful that thus far the school board here has been very supportive of human rights.
I had a thought on this, though, with the school board issues, and I know it's been an ongoing battle, and I have not attended a school board meeting, but I would like to propose that we invite a school board member or members to attend one of our HRC meetings to help educate us on some of the facts and issues that they're dealing with, and maybe that could quash some of the speculations that people make about what the school district is attempting to do with some of these things and how we might engage with the school board as a commission. How might we proceed to assist them in educating the public regarding some of these issues and get rid of some of the ignorance that may exist about things that are never intended to happen, but that we receive letters warning everybody that New Ulm is on a slippery slope, that, you know, there's going to be no turning back, you know, type of thing. You know, is that something that has been done or can be done?
I don't know that it has in the past, but I don't think it would be a bad idea to invite either the superintendent or a board member to share any support, any way that we could support them with human rights in the
Yeah,
schools.
what, you know, just to even know what kind of issues are they grappling with, not,
How can we help?
yeah,
as a commission?
what
How
could,
we can like clarify the situation instead of having words put into our mouth.
I don't necessarily want to move back up onto the agenda, but besides Wendy's reply, is there any response to that letter that he wrote?
I believe that the only things that would go into our agenda are responses from our commission, so I don't personally know
I
if there
mean-
were other responses.
I mean, we
Oh,
kind of just
you're
skipped
wanting-
that step, and I do have comments, but I could reserve them for a later date because I'm sure there'll be more letters coming at some point. So.
Are you talking about was there,
His
Input
letter
from the
to the
community?
editor, of
Okay.
the letter you responded to in writing.
there were a lot of comments online. but-
No, I just
I
mean,
think he's asking, are we?
as
I think Aaron
commissioners, do
would
we
like
have
to
anything
comment.
to say about that letter? Because
Okay.
typically, we opened it up to
I must not have
say-
asked for comments, I'm sorry.
Right, and like I said, of course, Iowa has comments on everything, but I think Wendy kind of said what we needed to say in our response that only had her name on it. But the one thing actually, I'll say two things about it just quickly. And first of all, I just want to say that, you know, the argument is that we're in this woke community and his slippery slope argument. And like, if we did one thing, you know, and passed a marriage, gay marriage, and that he thought that would be the end of it and we could all just live in peace after that. That's, you know, the first paragraph of his letter. But I just wanted to say that, you know, human rights are not like a faucet that, you know, you can just turn off and on because at a whim, you know, to satisfy someone who opposes such rights. And the second thing I'd like to say about this particular letter writer, perhaps has some valid opinions. I'm not necessarily always disagreeing with some of the statements that are made, except that everything he presents is with a heaping helping of homophobia. And that's where I take issue with it. So I'm open to other opinions, as I think we all are on this commission. However, what I don't think can be tolerated is that it's so clearly vested in a certain viewpoint that doesn't really embrace the thoughts of human rights, I guess. That's all I'll say about it right now.
Thank you, Aaron. Are there any other current human rights issues that we need to discuss at this time?
I don't believe so.
Well, it's just that speaker that's coming up, that, right?
That's in other business.
Yep, that's under
right.
other
Okay.
business. Yes. So moving on to our legislative update. Dan is no longer a commissioner, so I guess we need someone else to volunteer to watch the legislation for updates. Anyone interested in that? That's always been kind of our Dan go-to.
I'll watch it.
Oh, okay.
Unless.
Well, I was just thinking that, like, I'm not a good watcher of it perhaps, but I was thinking maybe just that we could, I mean, I'd be willing to reach out to Dan just to say, hey, could you give us a heads up if something that you know would be of importance to us?
I think that's a
that,
better
you
idea.
know, that way, well, because he's going to know about
he'll
it, because
know-
he's
he
on the
knows
pulse of the legal community, and I'm
But he
not
was so good
always,
at it.
sometimes I'm not aware of what's going on when you just sort of shut down and can't stand to watch the news anymore or read a paper or, you know, so I just thought that would be something we could do.
All right, so Aaron will reach out.
I'll reach out to him.
Dan, all right. City Council Liaison, there any updates?
So I did not get to watch last night's YouTube video yet.
Oh.
But as far as the 19th, I didn't really have anything to
Okay.
speak about.
And we do have another meeting in August, so
Correct, correct.
plenty of time. You couldn't watch it in one night? All right, thanks, Chad. Okay, other business. There is currently a vacancy on the commission due to the resignation of Dan Calk. If anyone knows of someone that might be interested, please contact the mayor. And I would just like to add that a big thanks to Dan. I don't know how long exactly he served on the commission, but he was a huge asset. And he will be missed.
And I did forward a name to Terry,
Okay.
the mayor,
Awesome.
because I talked to a woman and she's willing to serve on the commission. So I passed her name on to Mayor Sweeney.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so under other business, this is also an addendum item. So if you want to jump back to the addendum, and you can click on the link if you want to. So a little background on this. When this addendum was published, I believe 2 days ago, the Brown County Historical Society was intending to host a speaker, Catherine Kendall, from the Center of American Experiment, as part of a week-long event commemorating the U.S. Dakota War. At this time, the speaker has been postponed. I think this was as of last night. But it appears that the Historical Society is still intending on sponsoring the speaker later in the fall. And given the overt racism, homophobia, disinformation that the intended speaker has circulated in the past, I really believe it would behoove us as a commission to provide additional information to the Brown County Historical Society leadership so that they're able to make an informed decision about whether or not they actually would like to host a speaker in the future. Giving this speaker a platform to solicit her ideas that have promoted white supremacy and conspiracy theories would only serve to perpetuate the struggles that members of historically disenfranchised groups in our community are already facing. And it would also be particularly discouraging to see an accredited organization in our neighborhood give historical credence to a speaker such as this when the proposed speaker does not have any formalized education in historical research or credentials as a historian. And I think as our commission, it would fit our role to provide them educational materials on the speaker's background and funding and previous engagements. Is there any other thoughts or discussion on this?
I would agree. I think that we need to make it a point to make sure that the Historical Society has as much information as possible on the speaker before they make a decision to actually host the speaker, because there are a lot of concerning topics, as Casey
To
said.
clarify, it's not the Minnesota Historical Society, it's the Brown County
I'm
Historical
sorry.
Society. But
My bad.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just really, what, at least the article that she wrote with the same title, Weaponizing History, is absolutely not in line with what the Brown County Historical Society is really trying to incorporate the Dakota ways, experience, that's not the right word, but, you know, rather than just what the settlers experienced during the war, but what all parties experienced. And what she has in the article is like totally negating all of that, and that just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I would say while I totally agree that looking at history through different lenses is very important, I think she's taking her particular lens and applying a lot of things that don't apply to history, political things. I mean, she very clearly states in the left that history is being politicized, and I think it's just
I found it very, frankly, racist, like in the article, that she discounts the Native American oral tradition of history just because it doesn't match the European traditionally written history, and just because their history is recorded differently, it's not equally valid. I mean, that is very clearly a white supremacist idea.
absolutely.
And I could go on and on, but
Yeah, and I did a little research, not just about her, but the organization. And they are suspect for many reasons. And just her first line about political radicals hijacking the mission of the Minnesota Historical Society, it's loaded. There's no reality or fact check here. There's a really decent piece in the Star Tribune from July 28th that is titled "Counterpoint: I am racist, so is Catherine Kirsten. She can't admit it." And she denies the existence of white privilege, white supremacy, and she's against the very idea of systematic racism, according to the author of this article, who is a professor emeritus of justice and peace studies at the University of St. Thomas. So I would think that he clearly has a valid opinion that should be considered. But my first thought, if this was to go ahead as planned, that we would need at least the ability to have a counterpoint or just some fact checking or something.
Aaron, I am going to cut you off
allow.
just because
Sure.
I got the reminder that we only have 2 minutes left
Okay.
in the
All right.
meeting, so we
Sure.
do need to
Yep, that's fine.
push through.
That's all I
this.
had to say.
Not to cut you
I'm-
off.
No, and
I'm
I
sorry.
completely
And that is
agree with you.
postponed is great news.
Yeah.
Yes, and I do appreciate that they have welcomed
Right.
feedback. So
Maybe we can put it on the agenda for our next meeting to discuss what we're going to
I
do.
do know that they have a board meeting on Monday. So if we want to do anything for that board meeting, we would need to move very quickly to get that done. Otherwise, if there's no other discussion, we can move on.
All right.
Or any motions? No. All right, the date of our next meeting is August 22nd. If there is no other discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
I-
Aye.
Aye.
Approve, same sign. Motion carries, we're adjourned.
I don't know if it matters if we can go over.
I didn't know it was.